Okay, so today we're entering the world of programmatic SEO. We're going to use both a GPT that uses PSEO, that creates templates and lists based on programmatic SEO, and also a programmable template. That's also from the GPT, and we're going to use make.com to go through and create all those blog posts. It'll look something like this. Here's one that I finished earlier. Okay, so basically we create all this text, which is sort of optimized for SEO for this particular one, all this text based on a programmable SEO template. Okay, so the first place we start, just running where we start. Actually, we'll start with make.com. Okay, so basically I've built this template. I'm going to share it down below on our Snack prompts. Basically, I'm setting a series of variables here, which you can actually tailor to your website. If you just download the template, we separate based on a separated variable file list, and we adjust the template that we're going to get from ChatGPT or from the GPT I'm going to look at. We adjust it here, format it into HTML, and post it to WordPress. Obviously, I'll go through this in considerably more detail, but at this stage, I just want to give you a general overview. Okay, so perhaps we'll start here with the initial variables we need. Okay, so I'll actually save this. It actually hasn't been saved correctly. Save. Okay, so we'll have a closer look at this. Okay, so basically we've got a comma-separated variable list here. These are all Melbourne suburbs. Basically, in this one, I'm programmatically iterating on the Melbourne suburb. You can choose it CSV, you could change it to services CSV. It doesn't really matter what it is. This particular template's optimized for location, but you could adjust it to be any kind of variable you want. I mean, maybe we need to talk about what programmable SEO is. Basically, it's creating hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of pages based on a few variables, and use the power of AI to kind of make variations of those pages, for each variable. And the idea is that you can cover a heap of SEO potential search terms in a shorter space of time, and don't have to actually write very much of it yourself. In fact, really, you don't really need to write any. You can rely on the GPT to actually do the lot for you. I did actually adjust mine a bit, but definitely even just the template you can get from ChatGPT or from a GPT. So just walking through some of these variables. Okay, so we've got the city CSV, got slug base. This is basically the part of the URL that we want to optimize for, to create a slug for. A meta title, which is the title of the article we're creating. Meta description, which is again is the description for SEO purposes of the article we're creating. We're creating a heading, self-explanatory. Here we've got an introduction in which we're going to programmatically replace these city placeholders. I'm not going to adjust that too much. We've got some main contents. Okay, so I'll show you this in more detail when we look at the PSEO GPT. Basically, there's a heap of markdown and basic framework for the sort of stuff that we want to do our website on, or the actual article itself. And we have an FAQ section, which again is pretty much just the sort of thing you do. This particular blog's about commercial electricians in Melbourne, Australia. And we've got a main location here of Melbourne, Australia, which is kind of useful for the AI. Maybe next. Okay, so the iterator, basically this just iterates on the CSV. So each time the automation finds a comma, it just runs through this section and runs it with that particular variable that's separated by the comma. Now we get into the meat and bones of it, being the AI or the ChatGPT completion. We'll just have a look at this one, if it'll open up for us. Basically, what I'm asking it to do, when it opens up, sorry, just wait for that. Okay, so basically, we're prompting it saying you're an expert in local SEO for the suburb of X in location Y. The following is an outline of a local SEO template for the location written in Markdown. Make minor changes to it to make it original and add a bit of depth to each of the points. So basically, we're just getting it to pimp out each particular page effectively. You saw the introduction earlier in the piece. Basically, we're replacing city with value being the name of the suburb. Same with the main content and also the FAQs. And basically, AI will now rewrite this a little bit with a little bit of variation, basically. So each page has a bit of variation for the Google SEO algorithm, and so it doesn't mark it as duplicate content, basically. Then all we do is we format that markdown that we've created in this step into HTML. Got a little prompt here, just wait for that. Okay, so again, it's a user prompt. You're an expert at creating HTML snippets from Markdown. Format the text supplied below into a HTML snippet. Paragraphs can be TP tagged. That's probably overkill. Probably don't really need that, but I'll put that in anyway. The snippet is going to be inserted into the body of a WordPress post. Return the snippet only. There is no need to provide the doc type, HTML, or body declaration. So I find that ChatGPT gets a bit creative and just puts in a bit more than you need in most cases, so you need to tell it not to. And obviously, we feed it the markdown text that we created in the. And last of all, we just put all of it. This is specific for WordPress blogs. You could do this for whatever sort of blog you want, that as long as it has a connection to make.com. Even if it doesn't, I'm sure you could figure out an API way to do it. Okay, so title, we're just inserting the suburb into the heading that we've created in step 1. Content, this is the result. This is the majority of the text. Chosen post type as being posts. You could change it to that if you wanted. Similar story of excerpts, replacing the city with placeholder date. I've just left that blank. It'll select whatever date you post it. Okay, so I've got slug. Now this is a bit more important. So it's basically the one we'd start in step 1. We're replacing city with the value of the suburb. Status draft, I might change that to publish for the purposes of this exercise. I've chosen a category. You don't have to. In fact, you could choose uncategorized if you like. This is the author made it. Being about commercial electricity in Australia, we call electrician Sparky, so I call it Sparky Coal. Now this one is perhaps specific to what I'm doing and may not work for yours, but basically I've hard-coded in a featured media ID, which if we go back to this page, is this picture up the top here, this picture of Melbourne. Basically each post is going to have that same picture. You can get the featured media ID of any image within your WordPress program that has perhaps an image that you want, and just get the ID of that image and put it here. You could do that. There's many different ways. You could generate an image using AI and put it in, but I haven't done it in this particular exercise. The only other field I'll probably fill in is the meta. I've created a meta description down here. Again, we're just replacing the city placeholder with the value. So I'll go save. Now, you may ask, where on earth did I get all this information? So there's a really easy way to do it. I'm using this GPT here, which is called PSEO Ideas. You can search for it on your ChatGPT. I mean, there's plenty of programmatic SEOs, GPTs available. I just found this one a good one. And what I've used to make it work is I've used this prompt here, created a PSEO template for commercial electrician services in Melbourne suburbs. Articles will be iterated by the suburb. Now, obviously, you could do that differently depending on what sort of website you got, but that's kind of the gist of it. Okay, so we'll run that. Let him go. Okay, so here we go. Now, this is where we got the slug from. There's a meta title formula, meta description, H1, which is the heading, and we get this information here. To make it even easier, I would go change the above into markdown format. Yep, so that's all pumping it out. Okay, it's really useful for the introduction and also this information here. You can just cut and paste, copy that, and what you would do is paste it into this particular area here, which is the sorry, let me go page down. This into the introduction and also into the main contents. And I'm sure you can figure out exactly which one goes where, but that's how that would work. And I'll pause the video and I'll run it for a few. I've got, let's see how many, I've got maybe 10 particular suburbs here. Let's have a look at the finished product. I'll pause this, it'll take just a minute or two. Okay, so that particular automation has run. You can see there's 11 results. We'll have a look at our WordPress installation here and we'll see what we look and see. Just waiting for that to load. We're hoping that there'll be 11 pages. Okay, so I had to make a last minute adjustment there and actually increase the amount of tokens that this format markdown to HTML could use, but it's all working now. If we look at this, we've run it 11 times, 11 different suburbs that is. We look at our WordPress, we go to all posts, and you can see here there's a bunch of Melbourne suburbs that it's done a post for. So let's have a look at one of these. Let's look at Melbourne. Go to view, see what it looks like. Okay, so we've obviously got that hard-coded image, bunch of text, all tailored to Melbourne around commercial electricians, a bunch of frequently asked questions, and it's done it right through to the end. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go back to make, and look, I think we'll finish the video there. Basically, this is one way to use programmable SEO, or programmatic SEO, I should say. There's some more kind of out of control ways to do it, I would say, using Bolt or Cursor and stuff like that, which where you don't perhaps have the control that you do here in Make and with using WordPress. Anyway, it's all food for thought for you, and the template will be available on Snack Prompt. I'll put a link to it in the description.